The riots that followed weren't all about Mark Duggan. There was already tension between police in Tottenham and members of the black community. The killing.
I always wanted to do a film on the farm, and obviously when Mark's situation happened, I just felt like, you know what, I wanted to tell my story. And then obviously me and Curtis was having a conversation about that, and then he just said, yeah, like he's got this guy that wants to make a film on a riot. I was on bail for the riots, and then like a family friend got me this temporary job to just kind of keep me out of the way and just keep me occupied. So we met George probably about a year after the riots. So we just got talking, and George just said to me, well, tell me what happened. And then we just started talking. And obviously because it was fresh, I got emotional, got a bit teary. And he said, well, like based on what you've told us, you get me, like we've got a film.
Yeah.
Like let's start filming straight away. So I thought, all right, cool. Obviously when you're fresh from the streets and stuff like that, everyone's police to me, you understand?
Police.
Unless you're my friends, you get what I'm saying? Everyone's police. I started questioning myself, like, what, is this guy some sort of agent or something like that? He's trying to...
My views towards the police again was always, I hated them.
The ones that just use their power, think they can use their power to intimidate you just because they've got that uniform. And do you know what? I'm not intimidated by the uniform.
Mark's death and the whole anger that it created in me, I got drawn back in. I'm back in that dark place, you get me, where I once walked away from.
They didn't trust me to begin with, and I think they met Dion, and who can blame them, because there was quite a lot of suspicion of people who said they represented the media.
Marcus was still going through his whole arrest situation, and so I think he was quite vulnerable. And so George coming in acted as a kind of father figure, somebody who was willing to listen, and just, I guess, having the camera there really helped.
And what I will always remember about that time is Marcus saying, and he was consistent with this, and Curtis, they were consistent about saying, we just want to set the record straight. That was a phrase about our friend. And I kept on thinking, well, I don't know, I never met your friend, so I don't know who he was and what he was like, but I do know that you can always tell something about someone from the company they keep. So if I film you observationally and get to see what the truth is about you guys, then maybe I'll learn something about Mark Duggan.
When anyone gets killed, they get in contact with the family and they tell the family, look, you get me, like your family members passed away. No one contacted his family, that's one. Two, they had us outside the police station for 6 hours when initially we were supposed to wait for like 1 hour for someone to come and speak to us to get turned away. Like, we're not animals, we never came there for trouble. Like, we don't protest every time there's a situation. The last time there was a riot was in '85. So if they would have come and spoke to us sooner, given us like the information on what we needed, we would have just went home.
I do believe the riots were an outpouring of grief, because like basically the misportrayal of Mark by the media, as well as the police as well, because they lied in the beginning of as to what actually initially happened and took place. So I think with all of that as well, you know, like we knew something is not right here. First we thought it was a race issue, but it's more than race. Like unjust or whatever has no boundaries for colour or anything. So when something's not right, it's not right. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Chinese, Indian. When it's unjust regardless of the colour of the skin. A lot of these things happen in like more deprived areas, so to speak. Do you understand? Like more multicultural areas and, you know, like where people are struggling more. You don't see this happening in like white, well-to-do areas. So there's many factors as to how and why it happened as well, you know.
I think people should watch The Hard Stop again because it tells our story, a story that the police wouldn't necessarily tell.
A lot of people don't even realise what the riots were over, so to speak. They don't even realise, you know, they hear the name Mark Duggan, but they don't realise who Mark actually was as a person and where, you know, and so yeah, I think a lot of people should watch it just to have an insight and to become humanised, to like understand this actually happened.
And I think it allows people to make up their own mind and cast their own judgment on the situation, because when the media's banging this in your face, like this is what happened, this is who he was, you only have one perception of who he was and who,
that sticks in your mind.
And who people are, you understand? You get what I'm saying? But then when you hear a story from our side, human side of things, you understand? It kind of gives you, okay, so maybe he wasn't like this, or maybe he was like this. You understand? Like for instance, the picture that they held up in the media of him like screwing his face again, he's actually holding a heart at his daughter's graveside. So the media like to
misportray things.
Do you understand? So I think it's definitely a recommendation that people watch The Hard Stop, so you can make up your own minds on who Mark was, and you know how the police work, how the media work, and.
His death led to accusations of a cover-up, and the consequences were felt across the country. Mr. Duggan was shot twice as he got out of the silver Toyota people carrier. A passerby filmed the immediate. And in court today, somebody shouted, "A black man's life is worth nothing." And that is how many.
Even before we got to funding, we really just took on this project. I guess it's just out of politics, and as far as I was concerned, to get access to this story, which you know, was so well based on a particular truth, and with in an area that has had riots and issues with the police, and dating back the historical was really important.
We made the film for people to watch it, for people, you know, anyone who's interested in this subject matter to watch it, and I think it should be of interest and a relevance to all of us, as we found last year with the George Floyd murder, and you know what happened afterwards, where a lot of people were asking themselves this question: how can this be happening in a modern society, democratic society? That's how we see ourselves. So why is this happening? And what does this tell us about, you know, race relations and you know, and what can we learn so this doesn't happen again?
I think now the youth, younger generation, like they're taking charge of their lives. I mean, like you have a lot of you still have a lot of gang culture within the areas and stuff like that, but like they've found something now that they can actually benefit from, which is like the music. I don't really support it myself, but like they've found something that they can actually benefit from and change their lives. And a lot of kids are jumping on that wavelength, you understand? You get me, like, and they're getting places. You get me, like they're making life-changing money where they can change their family situation And I think the more youths that are able to do that, the less frustration these kids have in terms of living and just being able to do normal stuff. Do you understand? So there's a lot of change, man. Like I said, these kids are taking ownerships of their life at younger ages. You understand? They're trying to do positive things. It's definitely different from when I was coming up. You get me? Like, it was just about streets, gangbanging, drug dealing, and just struggle.